Then that's
7 minutes.
Absolutely fine. A little bit earlier than I expected to be. Minister, look, I think, I broadly welcome the provisions that are set out in this bill. We recently, as a committee, the Social Protection Committee, had a briefing from the Parliamentary Budgetary Office, and it confirmed to me what I think is the most important. The first thing I look for in any budget is a progressive. And the Parliamentary Budgetary Office brought us through the various different provisions, the various different payments that are contained within this bill, and shows that yes, we've again, and I think this is the fourth budget in a row, we've achieved a progressive budget. It means that people who are least well off are the people who are going to benefit most from this budget. As I say, that's the first basic metric that I try to apply to any budget, and from the independent advice, it seems that we are achieving that. There are concerns, of course, around the use of one-off payments. I think the one-off payments have been necessary and they've been merited because we found ourselves in unprecedented times, particularly in terms of the inflation in energy costs, but general inflation. And we know that we do have these extra incomes to the state that we don't want to rely on in terms of year-on-year recurring expenditure. And so, in my view, even though it might not be ideal in the longer term, making one-off interventions is a useful tool and a merited tool in terms of helping people get over what is a very difficult period. I especially welcome things like the working family payment. Deputy Gannon referred to it and referred to his disappointment in it. Actually, research has shown that investment in the working family payment and the IQC, those are the magic bullets in terms of tackling poverty where you find it. And where we find poverty most is among the children of lone parents. And so going after things like the working family payment and going after things like the increased qualified child, that's where you can really make a mark in terms of poverty. We've also done movements in terms of the core payments, and I think that was merited, was absolutely necessary. They're struggling to keep pace with inflation, which has been, of course, so high over the last period. I would like to see moves towards benchmarking, and I mean that is something that's set out in the roadmap for social inclusion. It's a policy direction that we want to get towards, and I think all of us in the House would like to move away from every budgetary cycle wondering whether there's going to be a fiver on the pension. Now it's been, in fact, a long time since there's been only a fiver on core welfare rates over the lifetime of this government. But I do think for people particularly people who are on fixed income, having that surety to know that their fixed income is going to retain its spending power within the economy over time, over a period of years, rather than the year-on-year talk about will there or won't there be. Just a couple of other things that I do want to touch on. Moves around statutory sick pay. I think it's worth pointing out the various different types of new workers' rights that this government actually have brought to bear. Minister O'Gorman has also made significant moves in terms of domestic violence leave, paid domestic violence leave, that right to request working from home, even things like the extra bank holiday, and they might not seem to kind of sit necessarily coherently beside one another, but there are extra rights that we are making available to workers. And I think that's all to the good and very welcome. Something that I have raised with Minister O'Gorman before is we are asking employers to take a lot on in a short period of time. And I know that they want to do it, I know that they want to play their part, but particularly around increased sick leave, around paid domestic violence leave, the breastfeeding breaks, for example. That's another really welcome measure. It might seem a small measure, but we do also need to meet the employers halfway on that. If they have fears around the supports that they're getting, and small and medium enterprise in particular, and I know the Minister will be very alive to this, they are worried about the extra stress and strain, even in terms of the extra PRSI that they're going to be asked to pay as we kind of look to plug a pensions gap that we know that modelling forward that we're going to have to fill. It's just important to keep that engagement going with small and medium enterprises and say, yes, we are trying to provide better for our workers, for the employees within our economy, but we are going to support you as well. Another very welcome decision, I think, in this budget is that business about if you want to work beyond 66. If you make a decision, you maybe there's a couple of stamps that you want to catch up on, or that you simply feel fit, well, able to continue contributing beyond your 66th birthday, that we're allowing for that. And not only are we allowing for that, but actually we're going to apply that actuarial mechanism so that people don't lose out by not taking their pension at 66. And in fact, they'll be able to accrue those extra pension entitlements. I think that's a common sense measure. I know some people are interpreting that as some way of opening up the pension age to age 70. That's certainly not my reading of it. It's allowing those people who don't want to take that early retirement, who want to continue to provide. There's certainly a couple of very valuable members of Dáil Éireann who are beyond their 66th birthday and are continuing to make an excellent contribution here. The other part of that provision that I think is very welcome is around the provision made in terms of pension for carers and those people who've been caring for 20 years and more. I think that's really welcome. It's showing people that the work that they're putting into the caring economy, the caring society, is recognised, is valued by the state. It's maybe a small recognition of, in fact, how much we would have to pay if we were to try and replace that caring within some sort of market mechanism. And it's just a clear signal to people that, yes, we see that the work that you have done, we do really value that, and we are going to make pension provision for you accordingly. And this type of valuing of the caring economy is going to become, I think, more important in the next few years as we have demographic pressures on the one hand, meaning that more people are going to require care, and also when we see, I suppose, the disruptive effects of digitisation, the last place that the robots will come to replace us, I think, is in the caring economy, and I think there's a need for us to increasingly value that caring economy in how we measure it within our society.
Thank you, Deputy.